This Big 12 college football win totals edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBet. Bet $50 at WynnBet and get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. You already play fantasy on Sleeper, but now you can win cold hard cash with their over/under game. Just head to sleeper.com/SGP on your phone to join the SGPN group. Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's sleeper.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by IPVanish. IPVanish is the official VPN of SGPN, and they're offering 70% off if you go to IPVanish.com/SGP. That's IPVanish.com/SGP. And make sure to check out our new Discord server, the perfect place to interact and sweat bets with the entire SGPN crew. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord.
This is Brian Bosworth, aka The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Long, Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Over.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green, with my partner of picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Not just me, Sean, but Team Good Looking back in business. We're both over here, ready to talk college. It's been a little while. Feels like has it been a month since we've been talking college football?
Yes, it's been a little while, but hey, back in studio, feels great. And joining us as always to talk college football, host of the College Football Experience, Colby Dant, aka the Dantabase. What's up, Colby?
You guys know where the weight room is? Oh, don't worry, I'll check it out.
That's right down there, bro.
Because I've been putting up the weight for the College Football Experience. Subscribe or for the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Yes.
Come
on.
on.
How many teams you?
We're in the middle. We're in the middle right now.
Yes, Colby is going on his Don Quixote-esque crusade to knock down every 131 college football team previews. What's been your favorite one so far?
It's the Kansas Jayhawks because I got to talk a ton of shit about how I was right last year, not wrong, and I'm excited to talk them again. As I'm sure we're gonna get into it here, right?
Yes, we're talking Big 12 college football win totals, and of course, if you're betting on college football win totals or anything in general, make sure you head over to wynnbet.com where you can bet big, win even bigger with their bet $50, win $200 in free bets. And of course, they have a really awesome ultimate fantasy football experience for every $500 you bet on sports or casino. Between now and July 31st, get entered to win the ultimate fantasy football draft experience, Encore Beach Club, the whole nine. And again, also if you're grinding out baseball, WynnBet is the place to go. Best prices, reduced juice. Really, again, it's a numbers game. Get the best price over at wynnbet.com. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, we're going to walk through every single team, their win total for the Big 12. Before we get to that, been sitting on this one for a little bit, but this week's installment of Real Men of Degens.
SGPN presents Real Men of Degens. Real Men of Degens. We salute you.
Random group of guys in India. That's right. This is an unbelievable story. A group of farmers and unemployed youngsters have been busted for running a fake Indian Premier League cricket match, and they were convincing guys in Russia to bet on the match. It's really insane. We have video. They made a fake broadcast and everything.
The announcer sounded good, right?
Yeah, they had a fake announcer. They have like BBC logo on it. They ran it for like a month, and so what happened was the people would gamble and then they would walkie-talkie into the umpire to fix the match. This is just an all-time creating a fake league. So tip of the hats to you, random Indian guys.
I mean, look, if this happens again, I am available for hire at a very small rate to broadcast these games. That was the best story in like a decade, dude.
Oh, amazing.
But it is fair to say we did the same thing without ripping off some. I'm sure they were nice Russians.
No, but I think it's better that they're ripping off.
No,
I think,
yeah, the balls on these kids. I mean, when you fucked with the wrong guy back in Jersey, there were consequences. I don't know if I want to fuck with would you want to be one of the guys that was involved? I mean, there's people's faces on cameras. I don't know. We know cyanide gets worked into the situation with these folks.
I mean, I don't know everything about Russians, but they don't seem like the most forgiving of people. Shout out to Brittany Griner, #free Brittany.
Oh, I want to know how they got caught. You know what I mean? Like if this thing was going for a while, how do they get caught? You know, like there's something. Some guy must have lost a lot of money and said, "I'm going to the game."
I think the fact that they probably got greedy and never let the guys win. Like you got to let them win. Some of the time.
Yeah, you're right.
It's always so hard to get Colby's loud ass voice right.
Well, I get really excited about.
You're so excited.
Yeah, I mean that's a great story. That is why some days life can get pretty dull in the off season, guys. It's just not sport available. And a story like that gets you super excited that there's good in the world.
Speaking of good in the world, and shout out to the listener who tagged us in Twitter with this awesome video of Gennings Dunker from Lena, Illinois. He's the Iowa redshirt freshman offensive lineman. He won the 20th annual hay bale toss at Salon Beef Days in Salon, Iowa. I mean, this is Iowa football in a nutshell. First off, there's a Beef Days event, and it's just hilarious. All it is a bar, and then just you toss the bale of hay over. It's great.
Whoever captioned that by saying UCLA and USC, I don't think you're ready for the Big Ten. That was gold.
Oh, man.
Absolute gold.
They are in for a rude awakening. All right. Well, we're here talking Big 12. Colby, what you sent that clip? I didn't get to watch it yet. The Mike Gundy had Big 12 comments.
Yeah. I mean, he was out. I mean, a couple big comments got went viral. I guess some of it about Oklahoma. Bedlam. This is a rivalry that goes back over 100 years. And he just said, no, we're not playing moving forward. One team has decided to not, or they wanted to exit it, so we're not making plans to play them in the future. So, and some shade thrown there, and then obviously he came at the college football masses, essentially like the school presidents, by saying, this is the problem. Like, unfortunately, they're ruining it all for the fans. So he was very outspoken, and it's Gundy. He's classic. You know what I mean? Like,
come at me. Yeah. Oh wait, who was the coach that said come at me?
That's him.
That was
him.
him.
That was him at 40.
So.
Now he's at what, 50?
50.
He's gotten older.
We're getting old. Jesus Christ.
Older and crankier. All right, let's do it. Let's start talking.
Sorry, Sean. I can't. Before we start, Colby has some glitter on his eye.
Colby, what happened?
Like there's a piece.
I don't know. I was in an altercation this morning at a bagel shop. I was.
Oh really?
So I was.
Oh
no, I legit was.
What happened?
I don't know. Some guy came up to my wife for the second time in a row. So I pushed him to the ground, and then a bunch of other people started getting into it. But I don't know. Perhaps it happened there. I don't know. Police were called. I was not in trouble.
Don't mess with Pick Dundee before he has his bagel and coffee.
Perhaps that's what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was opening Pandora's box. Just saw some glitter. All right, bottom to the top.
Bottom to the top. Kansas Jayhawks win total 2.5, -135 on the over, +115 on the under. I'm not even going to do the math on conference and natty championships.
It is funny. Their odds to win the conference seem to be longer than the national championship.
All right. So the win total sits at 2.5. Of course, Colby and I were geniuses all over the over last year. They almost blew it because they needed to beat Texas, but then they had they almost beat Oklahoma as well. So kind of an interesting season for Kansas overall. I think the 2.5 win total is pretty realistic because they have Tennessee Tech and Duke. I think. Would you agree, Colby? Those are both winnable games.
For sure. I mean, look,
for both teams.
I love
Tennessee Tech also looking forward to Kansas on the schedule.
I mean, I think Duke's probably circling this one. Like, all right, we got a winnable game here.
No, Kansas is you got to remember Leopold got hired last year. Leipold, as all these Kansas fans tweet me.
Are we adding a syllable? Is that what you're saying?
He was. I don't know. I mean, the announcers say Leopold too, so I don't fucking know. But the fact that last year he was hired in like May, he didn't get spring ball, so he only got like 3 weeks of practice before they started the season.
Yeah,
and you saw them buy in towards the end of the year. The beginning of the year was a mess. He also started a freshman quarterback. I mean, if you haven't listened to the Kansas preview, I'm all over the Jayhawks. I actually think they're going to be like, I think they're going to smash the over.
And by that you mean 4 games?
Yeah, I think there's potential for even like a 6-6 season. I think if you look, I mean, they almost beat Oklahoma and Texas last year. They did beat Texas
6-6.
This team, they started a freshman quarterback. They return a ton. Their ground game with Devin Neal and Kai Thomas. They get 2 or 3 back in the wide receiving core.
They got TCU at home. I think that could be a winnable game.
89 career starts on the offensive line. 4 or 5 starters back. So sign
over
me up.
2.5 all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like that it's the sharps are already hammering the over, and that's why it's -135. But
I think
it's
it
2.5 games.
I think it was opened at 2, maybe 2 as well. 2-2. I think the trouble, you guys are penciling in wins to win. I agree. Duke probably going to be a dumpster fire, and Tennessee Tech should be a win. I don't think those are like gimmies. Like they're going to be favored by 2 touchdowns.
No, I think they will be against Tennessee Tech's not good.
Sure.
Yeah, they'll be favored by double digits at home.
But then you look at this schedule. They have back to back. Colby loves stuff at West Virginia, at Houston. They're not walking away with a win from either.
I think they can
at Oklahoma, at Baylor. Those are 2 rough trips.
That's tough. Yeah,
always tough to go to Texas Tech and what do they call Manhattan and Kansas State,
the Little Apple.
Bills. So I think you can beat Tennessee at home, you can beat Duke at home, you can beat TCU at home. Oh, and then you got 3 wins.
You want me to paint you a picture of momentum? How about this?
I like this team.
How about this? If they are going to beat Tennessee Tech on Friday, September 2nd.
Okay.
Well, West Virginia plays Pitt in week 1. They haven't played in like 20 years. It's one of the best rivalries in college football. If West Virginia wins that,
you're saying
it is a gigantic letdown spot. And also Houston struggled against Texas Tech last year. Got their ass whipped by them. Houston had a really favorable schedule last year. I don't really believe they were 12-2.
But that's going to be tough. Kansas back to back at West Virginia at Houston.
Oh, I don't expect them to go 2-0, but I think they can go 1-1 there. And then I think they can beat Duke. And I think Iowa State's kind of a 50-50 game, and same with TCU. So you can make a case that they start out pretty damn good at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
you're relying on them going 3. If they're not 3-3 after they've played TCU, where do they win?
Texas.
Okay.
I think
in a revenge
Oklahoma
spot?
State.
They beat Texas last year.
I just know this, man. He's too good of a football coach. The program is consider this. He didn't have spring ball last year. That is gigantic. That is a whole,
yeah.
And then you started a freshman quarterback last year. Your team is and they went out in the transfer portal. They added their defense should be a lot better. They got defensive backs from like Ohio State. And they just landed a big linebacker from Louisiana who went 13-1 in the Sun Belt last year.
Well, and 2, I mean, it was his first year in the program to not have spring. Like missing out on spring football normally is a big deal, but also missing out on it when you're taking over a new program.
Oh, I mean, and normally every coach gets spring when you're in year 1, and that's a transition year. But that's when you learn who your roster is. He didn't have that benefit, and he still got it done. So. I definitely think Kansas. I think they're going to be chippy in a lot of their games. Like I get it. The at Oklahoma, at Baylor is the tough patch there where you just say. But I expect them to kind of be in all of the other games. I think they're a better team than what you think. Even Patty C, we did the show and he was surprised at their talent they brought in from a composite point of view. They're very similar to what West Virginia is as far as recruiting rankings and actual talent. So.
We got Patty C working on composites.
Yeah, he's doing work, buddy.
Well, I
would like it.
I would say that's a fair argument, but the issue is they have to go on the road in that game, and I think they had, other
Kramer also faded Kansas last year. Kramer.
Yeah,
I did.
It's true, and a bunch of
Jayhawk hater.
I was a guest on like 2 or 3 different shows, and I had that as my number one lock, and I was like laughed off one fucking show. The one guy's like laughing at. Yeah, I want to see if they contact me this year.
All right, Kramer. So I'm putting you down for an under.
I would pass if you would allow that, but
Come on. All this trash talking for a pass.
Just taking the under.
Okay, under 2.5.
You guys are crazy to take Kansas over. I'm going to run back what I said last year.
Moving up the charts here, jumping up 3 wins. Texas Tech 5.5 is the win total. Over, you get plus money at plus 100. Under minus 120. Let's take a look at Texas Tech coming in here. Yeah, they have Murray State season opener, and then they play Houston at NC State, Texas. Texas Tech hasn't had a winning Big 12 record in any season this past decade. Looking at Texas Tech
since our boy,
yes, Mike Leach,
football gods getting even.
Yeah, they still owe him some money.
Yeah.
Also with Texas Tech, looking at Phil Steele's breakdown and stuff, he doesn't what is their best unit? Texas Tech. I can't really. From what I've seen, nothing really jumps out.
It's gonna be their passing attack because they hired Zach Kitley, and he was the offensive coordinator with Bailey Zappi at Western Kentucky when they threw for 1,000 touchdowns last year. I thought that was a great hire because prior to that he was at Houston Baptist, and they set the world on fire down there in the FCS ranks.
Who can forget?
But Zach Kitley. I mean, Joey McGuire's the head coach. He brings in Zach Kitley. McGuire was the guy at Baylor with Matt Rule, and he stayed on when Rule went to the Panthers and Dave Aranda came in. There's a lot of great hype about him as a head coach. So I'm actually going to ride the over here just because I think that offense, I think Zach Kitley is a cutting edge offensive coordinator. And I think,
can tell you it wasn't Matt Rule. He wasn't the sauce that was stirring the drink or whatever the fuck people say, the straw that were stirring the drink. Yeah, I mean, I like that angle. I actually did. I accidentally listened to a deep dive on Texas Tech, and that was kind of.
Colby hasn't gotten to Texas Tech. What were you listening to, Ryan?
Oh, shots fired.
Well, Colby knows I don't listen to every episode of the college football experience, but that was the deep dive. It was the offense. The offense is, I think, something you want to buy into, especially when you look into the Big 12, like I'm sure Colby has. In a weird way, they're kind of making themselves a little unique having that offense. And could they be the best offense in the conference?
I don't know about year one.
No, but would you bet on them being near the top? That wouldn't be surprising.
Yes. I mean, especially passing wise. But I just think Lubbock's a tough place to win.
Well, it's it's a weird road trip combined with the fact that they're going to stress you with points. And so, can you be a little bit good enough? I mean, again, another schedule situation where when you drop into the schedule, it's not hard.
They do have Baylor and Texas at home.
They catch some beatable teams at home,
and Oklahoma at home. Yeah. All right, I'll take the over.
And Kansas at home.
Well, and knowing McGuire was with Baylor for the past 5 years, I think that's certainly a winnable game at AT&T Stadium there. I'm on the over. I'm on the over,
but I don't know if I have a feeling this isn't going to be in my lock section. You know what is in my lock section when it comes to internet security? IP Vanish. That's right. Your internet security safety problems disappear when you go to ipvanish.com/SGP. Get 70% off their annual plan and a 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like the VPN for whatever reason, I don't know what, you got to be crazy not to be rocking a sweet VPN like IP Vanish. We got it going here. Powers, it is the heart to God's eye, and highly recommend it. Again, you can put it on Fire Stick, unlimited devices. So put it on your laptop, your phone, fire it on whenever you're on some sketchy Wi-Fi. You don't want people getting your data. The thing's just locked up, totally encrypted. ipvanish.com/SGP. Moving on to the Mountaineers, West Virginia sitting the win total at 5.5, -120 on the over, +100 on the under. Colby, what do we think about the old Mountaineers this year?
I think it's a dangerous play because there's a chance if they are losing, by October 8th they could fire Neil Brown. It's a big year for him. I like him as a coach. It kind of feels like a
transition year, or at least like a super prove it year for him because they lost their quarterback, lost their top running back, top receiver. They only have 11 returning starters.
Transfer portal destroyed them, just like my Colorado Buffs.
Yeah.
They did get JT Daniels in though, and I do think he's a better quarterback than Jared Deggy. But
Is he?
yeah, he is. He is better than Jared.
Can't beat out Stetson Bennett.
Yeah. Well, he got injured.
Are we
but
not worried
yeah.
at all about the fact that he couldn't beat out? I mean, he's run from how many fights now?
It's true, but
That's not your kind of quarterback, Colby.
I'm not. He's a lawn chair completely. I am not a fan, but I will say I think he's better than Dogecoin. And
Whoa.
over here, looking at the schedule, I'm actually going to take the under though. The chance that he could be gone.
Yeah.
The fact they play the
It could just
backyard
go-
brawl in Heinz. You know, if it was them playing Pitt in West Virginia, it would be different.
They have just a bunch of tough schedule spots. You know, even at Virginia Tech,
Thursday night.
we know that
yeah.
program's down, but
There's
still,
6 road games.
yeah.
It's not a good formula.
At Texas, back to back at Virginia Tech, at Texas,
And they didn't even catch the extra road game in the Big 12. They only have 4 there. They have 2
At
they
a
play
conference, yeah.
at Pittsburgh, at Virginia Tech.
11
That's-
Power Fives.
Yeah.
But you know,
You can't take the over on a team.
shout
that's
out to
doing that
them for doing
themselves.
that though.
But you
know?
we're like, okay, so home games. They Kansas and Towson. They can hopefully take care of business there. As you said though, like both of those rivalries that they're sandwiched in between are big time rivalries in Morgantown. Then you have at Texas by Baylor, at Texas Tech, a team we just hyped up a little bit. TCU at Iowa State. Again, tough spots up and down the board. Oklahoma, Kansas State. I just don't see which home games are locked in. I don't even Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma, Kansas State. Which one of those games are they winning?
Yeah, I mean,
Where are the 6 wins?
no, I think I'm probably leaning towards 5 and 7 for them on the season, and especially when you consider what could happen with the coach. Imagine they could quit on their team.
4 wins.
Yeah, they have a really rough start.
They're a
I'm
tough
with
road
you.
game too for teams. Like I guess that's the angle. You have to be Kansas State, Oklahoma. Maybe they steal one of those. They get TCU. They're up to 4 wins. Then I still don't see 2 more.
But they have gotten destroyed by the portal just recently. 2 guys entered the portal, and you go through the ranks.
Just feel
They have gotten
their portal got destroyed.
I mean, guys, I'm talking like big time players.
2 men enter.
Yeah,
No
are
men
gone.
leave.
Daryl Porter, their best cornerback at Miami.
Mel Gibson's in there.
Yeah,
Mel Gibson entered
go
their portal.
on and
That's how
on and
crazy
on.
it is. R. Kelly's in their portal.
All right.
Under, right? Unanimous.
Yeah. Unanimous on the under. Iowa State.
But we do love Pac-Man Jones for the
Yes.
record. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I guess Pat McAfee.
I don't feel great about that. The only one I feel great about as far as Kansas.
I think I'm going to be betting West Virginia a couple times this year in certain spots where maybe they're getting too many points, or Morgantown is traditionally tough to play, but just some of those back-to-back road spots and them on the road is just, it's not going to, I could see myself betting them as a home dog, but not for the over on the win total. Iowa State 6.5 is the number, -110 both sides, 16-1 to win the conference, 200-1 to win it all. Iowa State came in last year a little. They were preseason top 10, weren't they?
Hype.
I think like top 15. But yeah,
Their win total was 9 or 9.5. It was crazy.
I crushed it on the under.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think
Well,
we
they
got
got 7 and 6, right?
Yeah, but we got fortunate though. There were a couple games they severely outgained. Like Baylor, they outgained Baylor by like almost 300 yards. I feel like and
Still
lost.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
But now, what do you think of this year? Because
Pendulum swing.
I love the over this year.
really,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it does feel like their position now. They lost a bunch of talent. They lost Brock Purdy. They lost Breece Hall. They lost their tight ends, Kohler and Allen. But this is a coaching thing, right? I mean, from 1979 to 2016, Iowa State won 8-win season. Now they've had 4 in 5 years. They're coming off a down year. It makes sense that they can get up for this.
So what are your narratives as to why the win total dropped so much? Like Breece Hall, fun trivia. Who did Breece Hall replace at Iowa State?
David Montgomery.
Probably a similar narrative
Yeah.
in the off season. I think to your point, you have the combination of weird kind of off the beaten track road spot. I mean, honestly, Iowa State is the Virginia Tech of the Big 12.
No. K-State is.
They both are, but
yeah.
I'm referencing it to say it's never good when you got hype. Sean will tell you this in 20 years of him watching a Virginia Tech fan. When there's hype, it's never a good thing. And Iowa State had that.
They're in there. They're in there. They're in their happy
comfortable.
place. Yes,
they're gonna have that tough road spot at Texas. They're gonna have a nice battle.
They're gonna have 2 weeks to get ready for Oklahoma at home. Like
I want to say, since Matt Campbell's first year, he went 3-9 in year one, but ever since then, he has had all of his losses, with the exception of 2 games, have been by a score or less. So like he's gonna be in all those games where you think, oh well, man, this team is gonna destroy them.
This might be a lock because you look at Matt Campbell. To your point, Colby, you throw out his first year, 2016, where he took over the program 3-9. Every other year, he's won at least 7 games.
Yeah, no, I do think it is a lock, man. I think.
And what's your take on Hunter Deckers?
I think he'll be serviceable. Like Brock Purdy's, I know he got drafted by the Niners, but at the same time, like to me, he wasn't setting the world on fire.
So maybe the Niners do have a quarterback this year, Ryan. Brock Purdy.
But Brees Hall, they have a 4-star coming in, Jaleel Brock. I'm sorry, jeez, I can't talk.
You got it.
I think mixing him with Deckers and then Xavier Hutchinson is back at the wideout spot, and I know Matt Campbell was just raving about his tight end situation at Big 12 Media Day. So I do think this team will be fine. I think they're going to play a lot of close games again, and Campbell's coaching will probably get them to winning more than they lose.
So consensus on the over for Iowa State. Moving on to K-State, Kansas State, 6.5 is the win total. Tons of juice on the over at -160, under +135. Conference 15-1. National championship 250 to 1. Kansas State. Interesting here. Adrian Martinez is coming in.
Feels like the biggest nugget.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn coming in, running back.
I mean, pause right there. Is there a more explosive backfield in college football? I know Martinez throws turnovers, but he's built. He should have never went to Nebraska. He should have went to Kansas State because they know how to utilize a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, with Martinez and Vaughn, you have 2 true home run threats on every play.
They were 8-5 last year, which actually I think pretty good considering they lost their quarterback, pretty injured overall, and they're bringing back 14 starters. Defensive end Felix Anudike Uzoma
Beast
had more sacks last season than any returning Power 5 player not named Will Anderson.
And I should note that he was coming off of the end a lot, and they were in 3-3-5, which is fucking impressive.
So how does Kansas State not get to 7 wins? So like, what am I missing? Is that why
I think your only
-160?
Your only risk is if Martinez gets injured, because they are going to run him a lot. I think with Colin Klein, the new OC, obviously he's a legendary K-State quarterback, and they ran the hell out of him.
Yeah, he was a stud.
Yeah. I would expect them to do the same with Martinez and Vaughn, but I love the over. I love the fact they start a fullback. Shout out to Ben Sanat. Make fullbacks great again.
They have 5 conference road games. You have to call that out. That's tough,
dude. But this team has potential. I would say this. There is a
Oklahoma,
potential
at Iowa State, at TCU, at Baylor, at West Virginia.
Short of the Oklahoma game, there is potential for them to be favored in every other game.
But also, like, you're at home against South Dakota, you're at home against Missouri, you're at home against Tulane to start the season.
They should be 3-0. And like I said, the Oklahoma game, which they've actually had Oklahoma's number kind of lately, but Oklahoma will certainly be favored in that game. The rest, I think you can make a case they're going to be favored in every game. Maybe the at Baylor would be the second one.
Baylor will be favored in that game, at least like now.
Maybe though, if they at that point Baylor could have a down year or something, so you could see K-State rolling. I'm on the over. I think I know it's a trendy pick. I feel like a lot of experts are on it, but I just think that backfield is going to be super explosive.
How many games did Adrian Martinez win last year?
3.
Okay. And what would you say the number one problem with the quarterback Adrian Martinez is?
Turnovers.
Would you say it's his decision making?
But I actually look. We got to come at Scott Frost on that. Me and Patty C were talking about that. Like trying to make him a pocket passer. It's like you saw it in the Illinois game week 0 when you just let him just make plays and use his athleticism, which I think Colin Klein's going to do that. He's going to simplify his hey, don't You don't have to make crazy reads. Just run the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they're running some speed option with those two.
All right.
Give me the over.
SEC team week 2. They better be ready.
Shout out to Kyle P in the chat.
It's a Big 12 team.
He's a Canadian guy. Toronto Blue Bombers off to a 6-0 start. Make sure you check out the CFL.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers, buddy.
Winnipeg.
Oh,
Sorry.
Jesus. Missouri,
CFL.
Missouri,
I'm not wearing my shirt. That's how I remember. Make sure you check out the CFL gambling podcast. Don't want to miss that. All right. So Kramer, are you on the under here?
Yeah.
Now is this just a contrarian thing?
No, I think you have to start with their schedule. And like I said, they play 5 conference road games. I don't care if you think they can just. It's 2 things. It's the 5 conference road games. It's the fact that one of their pencil in wins that you guys are putting in there is Missouri from the SEC. And
come on, it's Missouri. They lost to Army in the bowl game.
I'm not penciling it in. I do think they could go 3-0. But
I think I like Texas Tech to be chirpy. I don't hate Oklahoma State, and maybe Kansas State's going to be a barn burner at the end of the year there. But I guess I would lean under before I go over, especially where the juice is at right now. I'm not laying minus 160 to bet on this team to win 7 games when they have 5 conference road games.
Yeah, Kramer won me over. I'm going under 6.5 because of the Martinez turnovers. I think you can coach out turnovers to a certain degree, but
I love
you are who you are.
Colby's logic is sound, but at some point you are who we watched you be. I get it. He's going to run a different offense, but he's still a bad decision maker.
I have them as a team that could win the Big 12.
I love that. I love your confidence. You are a man who.
I think they can get to the Big 12 championship.
You wear purple.
I see a path. I see a path. Well. ECU baby.
All right, so Colby's on the over, Kramer and I on the under there. Moving over to the Horned Frogs, TCU win totals at 6.5, minus 135 on the over, plus 115 on the under, 14-1 to win the conference, 250-1 to win it all. Let's talk TCU. New head coach for the first time in a long time. Gary Patterson had what 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Sonny Dykes, he was over at SMU. TCU, one of the most veteran teams in the Big 12, 18 returning starters, including quarterback Max Duggan. What's your take on TCU, Colby?
I'm a big fan of Max Duggan, but he is not an air raid quarterback, and that's what Sonny Dykes does. I didn't like the hire. I thought they should have went elsewhere. I know Texas Tech, with Sonny Dykes' dad being a legendary football coach there. I thought there was speculation that he was going to get him. But I thought Texas Tech actually did a much better hiring job. I get it. He did all right at SMU,
but also this doesn't feel like a plug and play situation. To your point, like the quarterback he has doesn't match and returning starters. I think I factor that in more when you're returning the same program. Like there's certainly a world where having 18 returning starters in a weird way could hurt you, because they're not the guys you brought in for the type of stuff you want to run.
How many air raid guys have been successful year 1?
Yeah, normally it takes time, but I will say they did bring Sonny Cumbie was the OC there, or not Sonny Cumbie. It was I don't know one of those Texas Tech quarterbacks that Kingsbury had, but I mean I do think they'll have some familiarity with this offense, but I just don't think Duggan fits that. If I was Duggan, I would have transferred out, but.
He's not like a quick, accurate passer.
No, he's an athlete. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense to me why he's at TCU. I do like their hire with the defensive coordinator, with the guy coming over from Tulsa, but I still think
I'm going under.
I'm going under too. I think that they could lose to SMU. They could lose. That's another thing is Dykes' teams never really passed the eye test to me.
You didn't
even when he was at La Tech or Cal. So I question the hire. I'm on the under pretty heavily.
Yeah, a couple notes on the schedule. Again, 6 road games on their schedule at Colorado, at SMU, the ones they didn't have to play, and then the ones they did at West Virginia never easy, and then back to back Texas and Baylor on the road. At Kansas, I guess, is their easy spot, but it's in between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. It's a brutal schedule for a first year coach, and I think. This is a school that probably has said that I would imagine Sonny Dykes is under the impression he has some time here too. And hopefully because, I think that matters because I don't think this is going to go well. They have an early bye week, which is strange. They're going to lose this. What's the spread versus SMU?
Or even we probably have the line already for Tarleton. TCU at Colorado Friday night. Colby, what are you doing on that game?
Oof, man.
Taking the Buffs? What's the spread?
I'm going to. I think it's got TCU should be a short favorite. But I mean the Buffs got destroyed in the transfer portal. But yeah, I am going to take the Buffs in an upset special.
Of course you are.
Yeah. Give me that. Give me that all day. It's not that's week 0. So you got to go down to week 1. There you
I'm
go.
scrolling. I'm scrolling.
Colorado 8-point home dog at,
give me
at
that.
night in Boulder.
Give me the Buffs. Let's go.
That's over on WinBet. WinBet scared to put that money line out. Let's go. Let's go Buffalo. I like betting on Colorado.
I like it.
The Bison. All right, so we're
maybe I'm off on TCU.
We're all in the under, right?
Yeah. Right.
Tough schedule. Again, it's a scheduling thing. I don't know where if you think that they are going to go 7-5 and be a bowl team and hit your over, they're winning multiple road games. And so I think that's going to be, so they take down Colorado, SMU and Kansas on the road. They still have to steal some at home against teams. They're going to be dogs. I don't see it under.
We got the top 4 coming up. Before we do that, make sure you sign up over at sleeper.com/SGP. You already have the Sleeper fantasy app on your phone for your fantasy league. If you haven't already, awesome platform for fantasy, really kind of a game changing product there, fantasy. But now they added a way for you to win instant cash. You can win as much as 2x all the way up to 20x playing their new over under game. You guys know how player props work. All you do is tie a bunch of player prop parlays together. MLB season, it's a ton of fun. And on your mobile phone, all you got to do, hop in the listener group. You can copy our picks. You can share your own picks as well. Tag us, tag me in Sleeper at Sean T Green, and get into our Sleeper chat, sleeper.com/SGP. And Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. Sleeper.com/SGP, promo code SGP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Baylor win total sitting at 7.5, -150 on the over, +130 on the under, +650 to win the conference, 100-1 to win the Natty. Defending Big 12 champs. They only lost one contributor between the offensive and defensive line. Phil Steele has them number 2 O-line, number 1 D-line in the Big 12. Last year they beat 5 ranked teams. Tough schedule, a little bit of a tougher schedule. 5 Big 12 road games. Blake Shapen looked good in limited work. Young kid coming in there. I kind of like this Baylor team, partly because I'm not as high on some of the teams up at the top, or at least a little bit higher. I tried to talk Kramer when we were doing our futures draft into taking Baylor to win the Big 12 at like 7-1. It's now down to 650. So I'm high on Baylor. Colby, where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that Dave Aranda is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Mike Leach guy, first off, and then you see what he's done. His track record's been impressive. Even though we mentioned that Iowa State game where they got severely outgained, they found a way to win that game, and I feel like they did that in a lot of key spots. Yes, they did get.
Doesn't that worry you though?
Normally that is always a red flag, but I'll say this: Shapen looked good in starting a freshman quarterback in the 2 most important games of your season, your bowl game and your Big 12 championship. And now that he's coming back, and Jeff Grimes is in year 2 with this offense, you forget he was Zach Wilson's offensive coordinator at BYU.
So it's small sample size, but the stats on Shapen, and to your point, he was in kind of big spots. 62 for 86, 596 yards. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So again, small sample size, but he looked good, and you give him a whole offseason. I think they'll be able to put up some points. And yeah, I know their schedule.
They were 80-1 last year to win the conference in the preseason, and they won the conference.
Fantastic.
So you're saying, is lightning going to strike twice?
He is such a good defensive coordinator.
No, I agree, but they also got a lot of juice, and I think in most cases you leverage that. Hey, they won a lot of close games. They had a lot of positive.
There are some regression signals, definitely. But I like the coach. I like the quarterback.
You can. I don't know if I like the quarterback as much as I like the coach. I think again for me, some of the Big 12. The fact that you have teams with 5 road games, the fact that there's so much discrepancy between some of the easier schedules and some of the harder schedules. Again, right now, what do we have with Baylor? Well, they not only do they have Texas and Oklahoma on the road, They play in some of the weird spots, right? West Virginia, Texas Tech, Iowa State. That's like a who's who
BYU, man,
of weird
BYU.
spots to play.
Yeah.
And then out of conference, they have BYU.
BYU is a tough spot. They'll get the dub though.
But I haven't named a single road game there that's even close to like, yeah, that they're gonna just walk in there and take that dub. So again, when you have to get to 8 to be over, and you're looking at that to start, that's 5 games right there. That's,
and that I think that's.
I'm sorry,
have
that's
you
6
seen
games right there.
Aranda's track record against Jeff Lebby, who's the OC at Oklahoma, who just got hired away from Ole Miss, but was previously at UCF. Fantastic. He was also fantastic against Lincoln Riley. He dials up these plans for that that spread offense that these teams run with like variations of the air raid. He is very successful at being a thorn in their side.
I want
I'm on
this
the
to be
over.
a team I like. I guess to Sean's point, I don't know if I like. I guess upon further review, I don't know if they're really a threat to win the conference. I think that feels steep, but I am torn on. Again, this is another team where the juice is just it's. Would I rather bet on this team to be?
No, the -150 kind of sucks. I would get it at like -110 at 8 and be fine with the push at 8 than laying -150.
I kind of just want to have a position on this team. So even though I made a lot of good cases as to why it's an uphill battle, I'm going to take the over. I do. I think it's fair to argue or talk yourself into regression points being manageable when the coach is the reason they were prepared. That's why
they were
won those
12
games.
points away from being undefeated last year.
Yeah, I worry that the long shot Cinderella, uphill battle to get back there. But there's so much room, right? Like 8-4 still gets us home.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Moving over to Oklahoma State, win totals at 8.5. Over plus money at 105. Under -125. Plus 550 to win the conference. 90-1 to win the Natty. For me, biggest point jumping out at me is they lost 7 starters on defense, and a lot of that was in that back end.
And their defensive coordinator, who's a beast.
And their defensive coordinator left for Ohio State. They added SEC assistant Derek Mason. We'll see how that goes. But in a conference where it is all passing, all high scoring, you lose 7 starters on the back end, and you got to get to 9 wins to get to the over. To me, that is tough. Am I missing something here, Colby? Are you high on Oklahoma State?
I am not. I mean, I think they'll have a winning season, but I'm on the under. I mean, last year they kind of had a perfect scenario come up with a lot of those games. Mainly the one that stands out to me is the early on matchups. They barely beat Bobby Petrino, Road Rash face. They won by 7. And then the Boise State game, they got very fortunate. Boise State returned a fumble for a touchdown. They just had kind of, to me, like they were very, very fortunate last year. The Tulsa game as well. I think this year they come back down to reality. Another thing is their backup quarterback, Shane Illingsworth, who played a lot because Spencer Sanders got dinged up. He transferred out to Nevada. I think the depth is not there. And Derek Mason comes in as DC. I think he's going to be a decent DC there, but I just think they lost too much. Give me the under, and I think this might be a lock for me.
5 conference road spots again. Another honor, and it's at Baylor, it's at Kansas State, it's at Oklahoma, paired with the at Kansas at TCU trips. Schedule is not easy. I mean, I will miss the days of conferences actually playing everyone. It does seem like that is going to be a thing of the past. And with the Big 12, it churns out tough schedules. But again, you can't look past it. It's a disadvantage to have an extra road game. We're seeing this in the NFL, right? One conference has it, the other doesn't. In the Big 12, you just have an unbalanced schedule. And again, so we're talking 9-3 to win this minimum. I like their non-conference, sure, but once the conference slate starts, they have an early bye week. It's going to be a tough schedule. And I think to your point, this team's identity has been being tough, defensive minded. The Big 12 is turning away from the high school offenses, Colby. And this is a tough minded defensive team that takes advantage of their home field advantage. And I think, sure. Do I think they can beat Texas Tech, Iowa State, West Virginia, and maybe Texas at home? Yeah. Do I think they can beat their 3 non-conference? Yeah. That's still only 7 wins. I need them to win 2 road games. And I don't know if I have the confidence. So under. I love Gundy though. He's
I can still see an 8-4 season. You know what I mean? He can still have an 8-4 season.
Yeah. 8-4. But that again, we're paying the price for it.
Yes, 8-4. That's it could be the ceiling.
It's a question of if you're going to bet on a team to regress, are you betting on Oklahoma State to regress, negative back towards that mean, or are you betting on Baylor to go backwards? One of those teams is going to take a step backwards this year, and I'll bet on Oklahoma State.
I agree.
Baylor.
I agree.
Texas 8 wins, -145 on the over, +125 on the under, +280 to win the conference, 55-1 to win the Natty. Quinn Ewers coming in, tons of insane hype. I want to root for the guy. He's kind of like I love the haircut. I love the just the swag coming in here. They also have Bijan Robinson, Heisman candidate. You could make a case, probably the best running back and receivers in the Big 12.
Oh yeah.
Texas has not won 10 games since Colt McCoy was there. That kind of blew my mind.
Oh, we know he's a winner now. He beating Russell Wilson on the road in Seattle. It's just the guy who wins football games.
Colby, I'll let you get it started. Is Texas back?
No, fuck no, man. They have won national championships since 1970. I don't know why they're on this pedestal, like there's some type of elite team. They have Alabama on their schedule. Alabama's actually playing an away game at a conference for the first time since like 1984.
Oh, wow.
But they're going to lose that. So we pencil Alabama's going to be loaded this year. I think it might be Saban's best team ever. So that's one loss out the gate, right? So I don't know why. And there's certain books out there that have them as the favorite to win the Big 12.
No, really?
Banking on Quinn Ewers a lot.
No,
but
hold on.
Yeah, there are, buddy. Right if you look, I just think,
this is interesting because I've seen Oklahoma a pretty strong favorite in the negative sense to win the conference, and then I'm seeing
there's another one that has them number one, Texas. Yeah,
that's insane. I mean, I what was it? Did the media pick Baylor in the offseason to win the con?
Yes,
I think.
The Big 12 has like 6 teams that could win the Big 12 this year.
That's right. That's what it was. That was the nugget. 5 teams were picked to win the conference in like the preseason media poll, which is pretty crazy.
And how and is Texas really sold on Quinn if they're bringing in Arch Manning as well?
No, because recruiting's all about just show now. You just have to have a guy. You have to have your show horse to walk through. It might not run in the Derby, but you got to have a show horse for that year. And as far as Quinn Ewers, I mean. Look, the look is good. And if you like that look, Sean, and shout out to Josh, killing on the social, but
Cam Smith, Photoshop,
not that far off from Quinn Ewers, and your face on there was a little match to it. So maybe you can come in with the blonde mullet and start working business in the front, party in the back.
We highlighted this, and I know we're going to talk Pac-12 win totals, but not today. But
we might cut the Pac-12 in light of what's happened.
In general, these teams that are
they're cutting themselves.
These teams that are jumping to these power conferences. Notice Oklahoma and Texas didn't play for the Big 12 championship last year. You put a target on your back. So that game, when I see Saturday, September 24th at Lubbock, the fans only going to have one more time. This might be the final time actually, because there's still a chance they might buy out of it. This place is going to be bananas. In Morgantown next year, bananas. Manhattan, Kansas, bananas. Give me the under all day. And another thing is they play UTSA the week after Alabama. There's a stat, I don't have it on hand here, but of teams the week after they play Bama, there's a stat where you just get your ass kicked normally. And UTSA they only lost 1 game last year in the regular season. So watch out for the Roadrunners. Meep, guys.
You're getting plus odds on under 8. That to me feels like a great spot, right?
Yeah. And Sarkisian, I've never been a big fan of a big believer in him as
#Degens only.
He tried to sue USC for firing him because he was hammered missing practices. The nerve of this guy.
Well, I just don't. It sets a precedent.
Don't we like that?
For
I do.
For certain employees here at SGPN who may go unnamed. Not going to name any names, but let's say they're dealing with the disease, and if we got to have a conversation, that's why I'm anti-Sark for that reason alone. You can do the math and figure out who
I almost was about to be like, you know what, guys? But what if Quinn Ewers is really that awesome?
Well, and I
kind of hope he is in a way because he's like the Bosworth of quarterbacks.
I might put like $100 on him to win the Heisman, but I'm not taking the over on on.
Do you really
Texas.
want to miss out on that
Well,
experience,
dude,
though?
I mean, honestly, do you think they beat? Who's better, Texas or Oklahoma? You would say Oklahoma, correct? So
Yes.
you have the Bama loss, the Oklahoma loss. Oklahoma State, Gundy has owned Texas. He has owned Texas. I'm not. So you can't just give him a win there.
No, I
even
think
Campbell.
that's a loss.
Campbell
Let's
has
walk
won.
through the schedule real quick. So we got the Warhawks of ULM, Bama, and the Roadrunners of UTSA. That's probably a 2-1. You have at Texas Tech, West Virginia, neutral
Watch
site
that Texas
versus
Tech game.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What's the record coming out of there?
They could have 3 losses by then, dude. They really could.
So let's
Like-
be conservative and say they're 3-3. If they're 3-3, shit's gonna go downhill fast. Iowa State at home, at Oklahoma State, bye week at Kansas State, TCU. I mean, we're being pretty negative, but 3-1, maybe 2-2. So 3-1 puts them at 9-4, and then they have at Kansas
9-4. What are you talking about?
Can I not? Oh, sorry.
13 games.
At 6-4, and they have 2 more. Kansas and Baylor. Yeah. So I mean, again, it seems likely they'll land on the 8. It is annoying when you have these flat win totals. Like, let us have an outcome.
Yeah.
Push should not be in the range of
You don't
possible.
want to watch a whole season for a push. Why did they not move it to 8.5? Because the juice is at -145. I'll text Win after the show. This is ridiculous.
Does it not seem like this?
Put it at 8.5. If you're juicing it to -145, you'll get action on the 8.5.
What's
right?
more likely, 7-5 or 9-3?
And that's why we're all in the under.
Well, it's just a principal play on Sark.
Yeah, fade Sark. He sounds like a fun guy to drink with, but I'm not a guy to banker.
I only
entire
have
season
3
with.
overs in the Big 12 so far.
I got 4. I'm in a nice balanced approach here.
Colby has every over so far.
Do I?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I got 4 in. What are we looking at?
That's the joke about your preseason previews. Your 131 previews. You give out the over
Look
for
at
every
this.
team.
I got 4 unders right now.
I'm 4 and 5.
Yeah.
4 and 5. 4 unders, 5 overs.
Just hating on this conference. I might have to revisit an over.
Oklahoma win totals at 9.5. Over +100. Under -120. All right, big number here. Again, Lincoln Riley left for USC. They're only returning 10 starters. Their 2 toughest games are at home. They do get Baylor at home, Oklahoma State at home.
They don't get back-to-back away games. The Big 12 still doing them favors despite their exit. They've only played 1 back-to-back away game in the past decade, which is just mind-numbing when you consider Kansas goes through like 3 every year. I feel like. But this team, I mean, look, Venables was a very successful defensive coordinator at OU the first time with Stoops, and then at Clemson, he brings in Jeff Lebby, the OC from Ole Miss via UCF, and I think Dylan Gabriel comes in from UCF. I think the offense will be pretty high powered. I do think the defense though it has some big holes to fill. And we're going to see how good Venables is. I'm on the under, guys.
You don't think Venables is going to get something going?
I think he will, but I just think the Big 12 is too tough. The floor with Kansas being more competitive now has came up, and even
So it's like, can Oklahoma lose 3 games this season in the regular season?
yes, I think they certainly
They don't
can.
often do that. I think.
No, I mean, to your point, Ryan, they also are. I mean, again, it is through Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops. Is their new coach up to that caliber? Because they've been 39-3 at home the last 7 years.
Here's my hot
So
take.
if that continues, they're gonna go over.
Oklahoma made a massive upgrade at coach in the offseason.
Really?
That's the hot take. I've fell into a deep. I think Brent Venables is.
It could be.
He's tickling me in
yeah.
the same way Coach Pry has. This guy is coming in all fucking business. Sean,
He's one of those guys who will get
in
penetration.
case you're wondering, yes, he will have a get back guy as a head coach.
Ooh.
I know some people are wondering. I did find an interview. He brought the guy from Clemson who held him back. Whatever assistant that position will be at Oklahoma. This is a fiery guy. It's the exact kind of guy you want. Look, Oklahoma's going to have talent. They have talent on the roster, Colby. You know that. They probably have the most talented roster in the conference.
No, probably Texas.
Well,
but
again, Texas, you push it aside because Texas doesn't know how to
Oklahoma
win.
did get raided by USC, man. They took a lot of their players. I'm telling you, man. And
UTEP, Kent State at Nebraska, Kansas State
circle
at
that
TCU.
at Nebraska. They barely beat Nebraska last year in Lincoln,
Okay.
or not in Lincoln, in Norman.
I think I will be surprised if this team is not undefeated going into their Texas game. They'll handle business there. I don't see a game that really scares me on the schedule until we get after the bye week. There's some weird road spots. Look, this Oklahoma team is good. This is Oklahoma team that is good every single fucking year. This is a program that has tradition in the Big 12. And while they didn't play for the championship last year, you could argue it was a down year. And what better than an Oklahoma team with talent, with a little chip on their shoulder, because Brent Venables is screaming at their fucking faces while they do their goddamn squats.
The real chip on the shoulder is the rest of the Big 12 as Oklahoma exits.
I'm playing the count, but this is Oklahoma in a rare chance to say, hey, we didn't even play for the fucking championship last year.
True.
I love buying Oklahoma in a situation where their win total is 9.5. This is the lowest we've seen a Oklahoma win total in some time. And I absolutely love Brent Venables. I think 100% we're going to see a situation where Oklahoma they outperform USC. Why do I keep wanting to call it? Lincoln Riley is out coached. We see that Lincoln Riley is just a flash in the pan. He was just holding the remnants of the Stoops program, and good. The fucking West Coasters can have them.
Wow.
That was for you, Oklahoma.
I'm about to say, what'd you do? What happened?
That was for you.
You're driving cross country and some back when you were 22 years old, some Oklahoma girl give you a good time?
No, unfortunately, it wasn't that good. But we did stop in Oklahoma to rest, and the motel made us open the back of our U-Haul truck to prove we didn't have people in there. So that's Oklahoma for you.
Yeah,
nothing like a U-Haul party.
So Colby, you're on the under. Kramer, who knows? Maybe he'll actually say the under. He does have the habit of being a Benedict Dan over here, laying a bunch of great cases and then being like, but actually I'm going to go over here.
But I mean, think about it. Why was Lincoln Riley so good? He generated points. He generated offense. He generated numbers, right? Like you don't think the offense is going to be able to do that with the.
Well, no, I think Jeff Lebby is a very good hire, but I also think the Big 12 is too tough. The Big 12 more than any conference is used to those offenses. And I just think at Iowa State, Campbell's kind of had their number. At Baylor, like I mentioned, Aranda plays. Levy's 0-2 in like the past 14 months against them. And I just think Baylor. I think all those matchups, even the Texas game, it's a rivalry game. Those games get wild. They'll get got.
How many games are they underdogs in?
I think there'll be a dog. That probably none.
Zero
probably
games.
None.
And this is a 9.5 win total.
But they were probably the same last year.
Yeah, this time they have a defensive minded coach who's going to get in their fucking grill, not some soft ass kid who wants to run off to California so he can buy a $10 million mansion.
Glanville got to you, buddy.
Hell yeah.
All right, Kramer tucked me into the over. I'm not. I'm not as passionate. It's a slight lean, like the Tower of Pisa. All right, closing it out with our locks and a dog. Maybe, conference winner, natty winner, whatever you want to throw out there. Kramer, I'll let you go first. 2 locks and a dog. What do you got?
I mean, Texas Tech is my first over lock. Absolutely love that one. For an under lock, I'll. This is tough because as much as Texas is an obvious play, Fade Sark, that feels almost like a cultural stance as a company, and we don't actually need to say it out loud in the lock category. So my second lock, you know what? We were discussing why we think it's an uphill battle for them, but let's go TCU under.
TCU under 6.5, and any sort of dog you like, right?
I certainly. Let's put it this. Let me ask you this: What are the odds for Oklahoma? Let's look at the good case. They all of the things you're worried about aren't a problem. They run the table. They have enough in their.
I don't think they can run the table.
Again, things go well. They're able to run the table in the Big 12. Do they get a seat at the table? Because their national championship odds right now are 40-1.
Of course they get a seat. They're a blue
I know
blood.
they have they check the blue chip ratio box, which is always important. I think they have the roster to do it. I think they potentially have enough schedule to do it.
You're crazy.
Could they do it? No, I'm just throwing it out. Like
obviously, if they run the shit, even if they have one loss, I think they're in. They're
could
Oklahoma.
a Big 12 team make the? Is any other Big 12 team making the playoff?
Texas, if they.
Texas.
Yeah. Look, unfortunately, it's a popularity contest.
How many teams? But how many teams who actually have access to the playoff are going off at 40-1?
True.
there are only like 17, like the SEC, a handful of Big Ten teams, which this year you'd probably argue is barely Ohio State. How many of these teams are going off at 40-1? I'll say sprinkle that. I say sprinkle the Oklahoma, because they're gonna start out hot. So this isn't gonna go down or go up. It's gonna go down because they have access to the playoff. I understand it's a long shot. Colby. But I again, you didn't have an answer to my riddle, which is what other team
riddle me this
who has an actual chance? Because you, like you said, most teams don't have an actual chance to make the playoff. How many teams with a chance are going off at 40-1?
I mean, I'd have to do a deep dive, but yeah, you're probably right.
When you stump the database, you get a little chubbed up.
Well, I mean, it's just that's like an area I don't go super crazy looking at because I know it's a jaded deck from the start.
Alabama,
but
I'll give you the. So you have in the 40-1 range,
Michigan. I like Michigan better than Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Notre Dame 45-1.
Sure.
Texas 55-1. Utah 60-1. Wisconsin 80-1. I'm just USC 25-1. Texas A&M 25-1. What do you like better? Texas A&M 25-1. Oklahoma 40-1.
Oklahoma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Clemson 10-1. What the fuck is that shit?
All right, my locks. Give me Baylor over 7.5. Love that. Love Iowa State as a scrappy dog now that the expectations are past them. Over 6.5 there. For my dog, give me Baylor to win the conference plus 650. Colby, what do you got?
Sean loves green.
Let's lock up the Kansas Jayhawks over 2.5 wins.
I also like that, but it's I'm
so
gonna
you
let
don't
Colby
know
have
college football.
This is a done deal.
They're a basketball school.
Then let's do Iowa State over 6.5.
Okay, copying me. I like that. It's good.
Then let's have some fun. 2,500. Kansas State wins the Big 12.
Wow.
I mean,
Colby.
really, we called it out last year.
Kansas State's 15-1 to win the conference.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. 2,500 for the Natty. My bad. Yeah. No, I just feel like I think there's going to be carnage in this conference, and to get that value of surprisingly, Iowa State is actually they have better odds than K-State, and surprisingly, K-State has the same odds as or similar odds to TCU
and Iowa State all priced pretty similarly.
See, I feel like this would be this is the Iowa State year.
It could be. No, I was deciding whether I wanted to say Iowa State at plus 1,600 or Kansas State at plus 1,500. You know what? I mean, damn you kind of talked me into it.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
If let's say you're into having fun, and maybe you have a little money that your wife isn't going to put in the CD to collect 2%. What if you just took a swag? I mean, maybe you don't like all the three of these teams, but what if you just took TCU, Kansas State, and Iowa State? It's an aggregate 15-1.
Don't do the TCU thing.
No, just leave TCU off. Kansas State, Iowa, they're both 15.
Why not do the Baylor, K-State?
Every year there's a.
Why not just do Baylor? Because that's who's going to win.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know what? Let's circle all the way back.
What do I know? Just gave out Cam Smith to win the British Open. You're welcome, America.
You know what? You can make my dog Oklahoma
and the rest of the cool part of the world that listens to our show. What's your dog?
Oklahoma's going to win the conference and the national championship.
And the national championship.
No, I think that's not an official prediction. I just think 40-1. You're buying that right now. It's a good price. But yeah, Oklahoma wins the conference.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Hey, fire up that app. Make sure, and if you're listening live, still a chance to get in our home run derby contest. $200 to the SGPN store if you win that. Look at this sweet coffee mug. We got a sweet Madden t-shirt. We have a jigsaw puzzle with Kramer's head on it. So much gear to get over at store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
Fuck Daro.
Yeah, exactly. Live. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Great job, Sean.
Kramer, let it ride.